In this lesson, we're going to have a brief discussion on groups and best practices with groups. In one of the earlier lessons, we looked at creating a group by selecting the elements and then clicking the group icon and grouping elements together. Well, you can actually place that group. In this example, I have a group of the 4 diffusers. To see that, I can just move over one of the diffusers and click. I can see the group. To place a model group, on the Architecture tab on the ribbon, right in the middle in the Model area, I can choose the Model dropdown and click Place Group. This would allow me to place the group somewhere else within this project, kind of like making a copy of it, if you will. Now, that worked fine in my example. I didn't see any broken references or any other constraint issues because the elements I combined were singular. They were all the same type, and they weren't bound to any walls or any other type of elements. So, what about the best practices? Well, be smart about what you put in a group and how you organize those groups. For example, don't put everything in a group. Don't put your walls and your floors and railings and ceilings and stairs or anything else all in the same group. Because if you do what I just did by making a copy and placing the group in another instance, if you place it, let's say, on a different level, that group is going to have constraint issues. Also, think about how you're organizing the elements in your group. Think about what piece parts are in there. For the walls, maybe you do need the slabs inside of that group as well as supporting constrained elements that the walls are bound to. Now, speaking of walls and groups, if you are putting walls in groups, make sure you set your walls to have unconnected heights, because then they're less constrained. Because if they're connected to a specific level and you copy that group to another level, you're going to have constraint issues. Also, make sure that there are no pre-existing errors or warnings with any elements you're putting inside of the group. And lastly, if you're using joins with walls, disallow any joins for the walls that you have in a group to the walls you have outside of the groups. So these were just some of the things that go into best practices with groups. While groups are very powerful and very useful, you also have to be very cautious on what you're putting into the group and what downstream issues you could have as you use your groups in other areas.